It would be more fun if we went together. Those 8 words from my CEO changed everything. I thought I was just asking for time off to see my dying grandmother. I didn't know I was about to become a fake husband, uncover a 15-year-old scandal, and fall hopelessly in love with a woman who'd been hiding her true self all along. Some lies are meant to protect us. Others, they reveal the truth we've been too afraid to face. That Monday morning, he knocked on her office door with sweaty palms. "Come in." Her voice was cool, professional. Michael entered to find her standing by the floor-to-ceiling windows, looking out over the city. Even from behind, she was intimidating. Tailored navy suit, dark hair pulled into a perfect bun, posture that screamed authority. "Ms. Wells, I need to request some time off. My grandmother is very ill, and I need to visit her in Seaview Bay. I was hoping for 2 weeks, but I can make do with 1 if—" She turned around, and something flickered across her face. Surprise? Recognition? It was gone before he could identify it. Then she smiled, actually smiled. Michael had never seen her smile like that. Warm, genuine, almost vulnerable. "Seaview Bay?" she repeated softly. "Yes, ma'am. It's a small coastal town, about 4 hours. I know where it is." She walked to her desk, fingers drumming on the mahogany surface. "When do you need to leave?" "This Friday, if possible." Catherine was quiet for a long moment. Then she looked up at him with that same strange smile. "It would be more fun if we went together." Michael blinked. "I'm sorry? What?" "I'll drive you. We'll leave Friday morning. Consider it a business retreat." "Ms. Wells, you don't have to." "I insist." And Michael, her eyes held something he'd never seen before. "Pack for 2 weeks. We're both taking the time." Before he could respond, she dismissed him with a wave of her hand, already returning to her computer as if she hadn't upended his entire understanding of their professional relationship. Friday morning arrived with gray skies and the promise of rain. Catherine picked him up in a sleek black Mercedes, dressed casually in jeans and a cream sweater. Michael had never seen her in anything but business attire. She looked younger, softer, and somehow more nervous. The first hour of the drive was quiet. Michael made several attempts at conversation, but her responses were clipped, distracted. She kept gripping the steering wheel tighter as they got closer to Seaview Bay. "Are you okay?" he finally asked. "Fine," she said, but her voice cracked slightly. By the time they reached the town limits, her hands were shaking. Michael noticed but said nothing. Whatever was going on with her, she clearly wasn't ready to talk about it. "Which way to your grandmother's house?" she asked. He directed her through the quaint streets lined with Victorian homes and local shops. Seaview Bay was the kind of town where everyone knew everyone, where time moved slower, and people still waved to strangers. They pulled up to his grandmother's modest blue cottage. Before Michael could even unbuckle his seatbelt, the front door flew open, and his grandmother, Rosa, stepped onto the porch. She was frailer than he remembered, leaning heavily on her cane, but her eyes were as sharp as ever. Then those sharp eyes landed on Catherine, who was stepping out of the car. Rosa's face went white. Her hand flew to her mouth. "Catalina?" Catherine froze. Michael looked between them, completely confused. "Catalina Rivera," Rosa whispered, louder now. "Is that really you?" Catherine's professional mask crumbled. "Hello, Rosa. It's been a long time." Michael's head was spinning. "You two know each other? And Catalina?" His grandmother was already moving down the porch steps, surprisingly quick despite her illness. She pulled Catherine into a tight embrace, and Michael watched in shock as my boss, the Ice Queen, the woman who never showed emotion, buried her face in my grandmother's shoulder and started to cry. "Oh, mija," Rosa murmured, stroking her hair. "You finally came home."
That evening, after an overwhelming dinner where Michael had to invent details about their fictional wedding and relationship, Catherine's mother showed them to their room. "We kept your old bedroom exactly as you left it," she told Catherine, tears in her eyes again. "We always hoped you'd come home." The moment the door closed behind them, Michael whirled on Catherine. "What just happened?" he hissed. Catherine collapsed onto the bed, face in her hands. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I panicked. You told your entire family I'm your husband." "I know." She looked up at him, eyes red. I saw the way they were looking at me, like I was this failure who ran away and came back with nothing to show for it. And when they asked if you were my husband, the lie came out." Michael ran his hands through his hair, pacing. "Catherine, this is insane." "I know. God, I know." She was crying now, really crying. "I've spent 15 years building this perfect life, this perfect image, and I came back here and I was that scared 20-year-old again. I just wanted them to think I'd made something of my life, that I was happy, that I wasn't alone." Her voice broke on the last word, and Michael's anger melted. He sat beside her on the bed and without thinking pulled her into his arms. She cried against his chest while he held her, stroking her hair, whispering that it was okay, they'd figure it out. When she finally calmed down, she pulled back, wiping her eyes. "I'll tell them the truth tomorrow. I'll explain everything. I'm so sorry for dragging you into this." Michael should have agreed, should have insisted they come clean immediately. But looking at her tear-stained face, remembering the joy in her family's eyes, thinking about his own growing feelings for this woman who'd shown him more vulnerability in 2 days than in 3 years of working together. Or, he heard himself say, we could keep up the act, just for a few days, give you some time with your family without the pressure. She stared at him. "You'd do that? You came all this way with me to see my grandmother? The least I can do is help you face yours." "Michael, we'll figure it out," he said, echoing his earlier words. "Together." She hugged him again, and he noticed she smelled like jasmine and something uniquely her. His heart did a dangerous flip. "I'll take the couch," he said, pulling away before he did something stupid. "Don't be ridiculous. The bed is huge. We're both adults." They changed in the bathroom separately, then lay in the darkness on opposite sides of the king-sized bed, careful not to touch. Outside, the ocean crashed against the cliffs. "Michael?" Her voice came soft through the dark. "Yeah? Thank you for being kind to me. I don't think anyone's been truly kind to me in a very long time." His heart ached. "You deserve kindness, Catherine, so much more than you know." She was quiet for so long he thought she'd fallen asleep. Then, "Will you call me Catalina when we're alone? I think I've missed being her." "Catalina," he whispered into the darkness. He heard her breath catch, and somehow, across the vast space of the bed, their hands found each other.
The next few days blurred into a strange, wonderful routine. By day, they played the perfect couple for her family. It was surprisingly easy. Too easy. Her mother taught Michael how to make her famous paella, and he loved watching Catalina laugh with her sisters in the kitchen, flower in her hair, so different from the severe woman he'd known. Her father took them sailing, and Michael learned that Catalina used to race competitively. She'd been a champion. He watched her handle the boat with confident grace, hair whipping in the wind, smile brighter than he'd ever seen. At family dinners, her hand would find his under the table. During evening walks on the beach, their fingers intertwined naturally. When relatives asked about their relationship, the lies came easier each time because they were building something real beneath them. Her younger sister, Maria, cornered him one afternoon. "I've never seen her this happy. Thank you for bringing her back to us." "I didn't do anything," Michael protested. "You loved her enough to help her face her past. That's everything." If only she knew the truth. Except, was it still a lie? The way his heart raced when Catalina smiled at him? The way she'd started touching his arm when she laughed? The way they'd unconsciously started moving closer in bed each night? What were they anymore? His grandmother, Rosa, watched them with knowing eyes. She pulled him aside one morning. "That girl loves you," she said simply. "Abuela, it's not like that. We're just... I've lived 80 years, mijo. I know love when I see it, and I see the way you look at her, too." Michael couldn't deny it anymore. Somewhere between the shared glances and the late-night conversations,
Between holding her while she cried and watching her bloom back into Catalina, he'd fallen completely, hopelessly in love with her. But she was still his boss. This was still fake, and he had no idea how she really felt. On their 6th night in Seaview Bay, her family threw a celebration dinner. Wine flowed freely, music played, and Catalina's aunt insisted everyone dance. Michael watched Catalina drink glass after glass of wine, laughing more freely than he'd ever seen. She was radiant, cheeks flushed, eyes bright, completely unburdened for perhaps the first time in 15 years. When they finally made it back to their room, she was decidedly drunk, leaning heavily on him. "You're a terrible dancer," she giggled as he helped her sit on the bed. "I warned you I had 2 left feet. But you're cute when you mess up. So cute. Do you know how cute you are? Let's get you some water." He moved toward the bathroom, but she grabbed his wrist. "Wait, I need to tell you something important. It can wait until morning when you're sober." "No," she stood up, swaying slightly. "No, it can't wait. I've been waiting 3 years. 3 years, Michael." His heart started pounding. "Catalina, do you know why I smiled that day in my office when you asked for time off?" Moved closer, eyes intense despite the alcohol. "Because for 3 years, I've watched you. Every day, I've watched you bring me coffee exactly how I like it, remember every tiny detail, handle every crisis with grace. I've watched you be kind to everyone, even when they don't deserve it, especially when I didn't deserve it." "You always deserved it," I whispered. "I love you." The words tumbled out, raw and honest. "I've loved you since the first month you started working for me. I've spent 3 years trying to hide it, trying to be professional, and it's been torture. Then you mentioned Seaview Bay, and I saw my chance. I know it's wrong. I'm your boss. I'm older than you. I dragged you into this mess with my family. But I needed you to know. I brought you here because somewhere in my heart, I wanted this to be real. I wanted you to be my husband. I wanted—" She kissed him, sudden, desperate, tasting of wine and tears and 3 years of suppressed feelings. For one perfect moment, Michael kissed her back. His hands came up to her face, and she made a small sound of surprise and joy. Then she went limp in his arms. "Catalina?" He caught her, heart pounding. She'd passed out. Carefully, tenderly, he carried her to the bed. He removed her shoes, tucked her under the covers, and sat beside her, watching her sleep. She'd said she loved him, actually said it, but she was drunk. In the morning, would she remember? Would she regret it? He touched his lips, still feeling the ghost of her kiss. "I love you too," he whispered to her sleeping form. "I've loved you for so long." Morning came with harsh sunlight and Catalina groaning into her pillow. She was clearly hungover, and Michael brought her water and painkillers without being asked. Did something happen last night?" she asked carefully, not quite meeting his eyes. He had to know if she remembered. "You don't remember?" Her face flushed. "I remember dancing and— Was there wine? A lot of wine?" "You had quite a bit." "Oh God, did I embarrass myself?" He opened his mouth to tell her about her confession, about the kiss, about everything. But fear held him back. What if she regretted it? What if it ruined everything? "You were just happy," he said quietly. "It was nice to see." She looked relieved, but also, was that disappointment in her eyes? Before either could say more, her mother knocked on the door. "Catalina, someone's here to see you." They found a man in the foyer, tall, handsome, about Catalina's age, with kind eyes and an expensive suit. Catalina went pale. "Diego," she breathed. Her ex-fiancé, the man she'd left at the altar 15 years ago. Michael's stomach dropped. He watched Diego's eyes move between them, taking in their matching morning dishevelment, the obvious shared room. "Hello, Catalina," Diego said warmly. "I heard you were back in town. I was hoping we could talk." She nodded mutely. Michael started to leave, give them privacy, but her hand shot out and grabbed his.
Whatever you have to say, you can say in front of my husband." Diego's eyes softened. "Actually, I'd like to speak with both of you. Maybe we could walk down to the beach?" The three of them walked in uncomfortable silence until they reached the shore. Finally, Diego stopped, turning to face them. "I'm going to say something, and I need you both to hear it." He looked directly at Catalina. "I'm sorry." She blinked. "You're sorry? Diego, I left you at the altar. I humiliated you in front of everyone. And it was the best thing you could have done, for both of us." Michael watched her face cycle through confusion, shock, and finally cautious hope. Diego continued, "Catalina, our parents arranged that marriage. We were friends, yes, but we were never in love. I knew it, and I think you knew it too. If you'd gone through with it, we both would have been miserable. But the town, your reputation, is fine. I'm fine. Better than fine, actually." He smiled. "I met someone a year after you left. Maria, she teaches at the elementary school. We're getting married next month. She's everything I never knew I needed." Tears were streaming down Catalina's face. You're happy?" "So happy. And you know what made me realize I'm with the right person? Watching you yesterday with him." He nodded toward Michael. "The way you looked at him, that's how you should have looked at me. That's how Maria looks at me. That's real love, Catalina." Michael's heart stopped. Did Diego just say? Diego continued, "I saw you dancing. I saw the way he holds you like you're precious, the way you light up when he walks in a room, the way you touch him without thinking, like your body just needs to be close to his. That's not something you can fake." "Diego," Catalina was full-on crying now. "I'm telling you this because I want you to know I forgive you. I thank you, actually. You were brave enough to run from the wrong thing, and it let us both find the right thing. Don't waste any more years feeling guilty. Be happy. You deserve it." He hugged her, and she sobbed against his shoulder. Then he shook Michael's hand. "Take care of her," he said. "I can see that you will." As Diego walked away, Catalina turned to Michael, face wet with tears, but eyes clearer than he'd ever seen them. "All this time," she whispered, "all this guilt for nothing. He's happy. He's been happy." "And you?" Michael asked gently. "Are you happy?" She looked at him, really looked at him. "Michael, there's something I need to tell you about last night." "Catalina!" Her sister Maria was running toward them. "Mama wants to start planning the reception. She's inviting the whole town. It's going to be amazing." Catalina's face went white. "The reception?" "For your wedding, since we all missed it the first time. Oh, it's going to be perfect. Come on." Maria dragged them back toward the house, chattering about flowers and music and catering. Michael and Catalina exchanged panicked looks. They'd let the lie go on too long. Now it was spiraling out of control.
That night, back in their room, they finally faced each other. "We have to tell them," Catalina said immediately. "We have to tell them the truth. They're planning a reception for a wedding that never happened. This has gone too far." "I agree," Michael said, even though his heart was breaking, because telling the truth meant ending this. Ending the hand-holding, the shared glances, the growing closeness. It meant going back to being boss and assistant. "Tomorrow morning, we'll sit them down and explain everything. That we're not married, that I panicked, that you were just being kind." "Right. And then we'll go back to the city and everything will go back to normal." "Normal," he echoed hollowly. They sat in heavy silence. Outside, a storm was rolling in, waves crashing harder against the cliffs. "Michael?" Her voice was small. "Yeah?" "What if—" She stopped, started again. "What if we didn't tell them?" He looked at her sharply. "What?" "What if it wasn't a lie anymore?" She was looking at her hands, not meeting his eyes. "What if— God, I can't believe I'm saying this. What if we made it real?" His heart stopped. "Catalina,
I know it's crazy. I know I'm your boss and this is inappropriate and we barely know each other outside of work. But Michael, these past few days have been the happiest of my life. Not just because I'm home, but because I'm home with you. Stop, he said, and her face fell. Please stop, because you're going to break my heart. She looked up at him, confused. Michael took a deep breath. Last night, you told me you loved me. Her eyes went wide. I what? You were drunk, and you told me you'd loved me for 3 years. Then you kissed me, and I've spent all day wondering if you meant it, or if it was just the wine talking, or if you'd regret it in the morning. But Catalina, he moved closer, taking her hands, I've been in love with you since the day I started working for you. She stared at him, mouth open. Do you know how hard it's been, spending every day with you, watching you be brilliant and strong and beautiful, knowing I could never tell you? I took this job as your assistant because I'd have done anything to be near you. I've brought you coffee for 3 years just to see you smile. I've worked late nights not because I had to, but because the alternative was going home where you weren't. Michael, these past few days, pretending to be your husband, it's been torture, because I want it to be real so badly it hurts. But I can't be your fake husband, Catalina. I can't keep pretending my feelings aren't real. She was crying again, but this time she was smiling. You love me? You really love me? With everything I am. Then why did you say I'd break your heart? Because we can't do this. I'm your assistant. You're my boss. The power dynamic, the professional implications. She kissed him. Not drunk and desperate like last night, but clear-headed and certain. When they broke apart, she was laughing through tears. I quit. What? Not as CEO. I'm not that drunk on love. But you're fired as my assistant, effective immediately. Now we're just 2 people who are completely, insanely in love with each other. Problem solved. Michael, I love you, she said firmly. I loved you 3 years ago. I loved you last night when I was drunk enough to tell you, and I love you right now. And if you love me back, then why are we fighting this? Because you're family. Doesn't have to know it started as a lie. We came here as boss and assistant. We're leaving as 2 people in love. That's not a lie, Michael. That's the truest thing that's ever happened to me. He searched her face, finding only certainty and love. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything. Then yes, he whispered. God, yes. They kissed again, deeper this time. 3 years of suppressed feelings finally unleashed. They tumbled onto the bed, laughing and crying and kissing, the storm outside matching the storm of emotion inside. That night, they made it real. All of it.
The wedding was small, intimate, held on the beach at sunset. Not the grand affair her family had originally planned, but something honest and true. Michael's grandmother, Rosa, sat in the front row, healthy and happy, tissues at the ready. Diego attended with his fiancée Maria, the teacher, both beaming with genuine joy. Catalina wore a simple white dress, nothing like the elaborate gown from 15 years ago. This time, she walked down the aisle with confidence, with certainty, with love. This time, she didn't run. When she reached Michael, he was crying. She wiped his tears and whispered, "Worth the wait? Worth everything." They'd worked out the professional details. Michael became her chief operations officer, technically her equal now. They split their time between the city and Seaview Bay, where they'd bought a small house near Rosa. In her vows, Catalina said, "I spent 15 years running from the wrong thing. Thank you for being patient enough to let me find the right thing. Thank you for seeing me, not Catherine the CEO, but Catalina, just Catalina, and thank you for loving her." In his vows, Michael said, "You asked me to come with you on this trip, and I thought I was just helping you face your past. I didn't know I was walking toward my future. You are my future, Catalina. Every day, every moment, every breath." When they kissed, the small crowd erupted in cheers. The sun set over the ocean, painting the sky in golds and pinks and purples. That evening, at the reception, Rosa pulled them aside. "I knew from the moment you walked into my house together," she said with a knowing smile. "The way you looked at her, mijo, like she hung the moon. And you, Catalina, the way you softened when he spoke. Love always reveals itself." "You should have warned us we were so obvious," Catalina laughed. "And ruined the fun of watching you figure it out? Never." As the party continued, Michael and Catalina slipped away to walk on the beach, just the two of them and the stars. "Do you think we would have found each other anyway," she asked, "if I hadn't come back here? I think some people are meant to find each other. The universe just gave us a push. Remind me to thank the universe. Or," he pulled her close, "you could just thank your grandmother who got sick at exactly the right time." She swatted his arm, laughing. "That's terrible, but true." They kissed under the stars, waves lapping at their feet, and Catalina thought about all the roads that had led her here, the running away, the building up walls, the 15 years of guilt and shame. All of it had been necessary to bring her to this moment, to this man, to this love. Sometimes you had to run from the wrong thing to find the right one. Sometimes the leave you requested became the life you found. And sometimes the person standing beside you pretending to be yours became the person you couldn't imagine living without. "I love you," she whispered. "I love you too," he whispered back. And this time it wasn't a lie. It was the truest thing either of them had ever said.